Do it quickly, my class has started. Mind the wire.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. This is September the 26th, Thursday, 2024. We are in BBIS first semester, compulsory English class. We started reading the story of Coward yesterday. We discussed about argument. We tried to understand terms like claim, reason, evidence. We also tried to understand terms like viewpoint. We tried to understand how our viewpoint is formed culturally. We said the kind of family background we have, our family values, the caste we belong to, the religion we adhere to, the culture we belong to, all these give us a perspective to look at the world. I have Brahmin's perspective. Look my shikha here. I wear a tie because I'm in the job. I keep my shikha because I'm a Brahmin and I adhere to my values. It's somewhat strange, right? The West and the East values. So I carry a Hindu perspective. If you're a Newar, you have Newar perspective. Perspective is the way you look at the world. And your perspective develops your point of view. And in narrative, there is a term called, I'm introducing a new word for you now. In narrative, there is a term. The term is, mind the wire as you walk. Narrative viewpoint. I'm telling something new which I haven't told you. Narrative viewpoint is, for example, when you read this story, the boy's name was Kesav, the girl's Prema. The opening sentence. The boy's name was Kesav, the girl's Prema. Now ask a question. Come in, mind the wire, come on time, come on time. Who is speaking to us? So you have this sentence. We know Munshi Premchand wrote the sentence. But stories are told. Someone tells a story, right? If you are lucky as a child, you might have grown with people around you telling you stories. When I was a child in India, every evening for 1 hour, somebody will tell us a fairy tale. My father, my mother, family members, even guests, even neighbors. Somebody will tell a story because we didn't have mobile phone back then. So we'll talk to people. You have mobile phone, you talk to nobody, right? Okay. So who is speaking to us? This person who is speaking is called narrator. One who narrates us the story. One who narrates us the story. And, someone is telling us a story. So that someone who is telling us the story might choose to hide something from us in the story. That someone who is telling us a story may have bias against characters. Maybe the storyteller doesn't like Kesav, so he is presenting Kesav negatively. Because storytellers are people like us. Narrators are people, individuals. and they may have bias. Now now, how many types of narrators are there? There is something called first person narration. If a story begins with I, once upon a time I did something. Once upon a time, now look, my class got disturbed. Talancha, I'm letting you in because you're late only today. From tomorrow, everybody here, once I close the door, nobody will knock. From tomorrow, everybody, once I close the door, nobody will knock. It is the last day. Come in. Look what happened. I was explaining something. I had to stop my class. I had to walk down the stairs. I had to open the door. And I got distracted. Okay? You should realize this thing, right? I was teaching you and I got distracted. Okay, listen to me. So I said there is first person singular narration. First person singular narration, and I is telling us the story. And when an I tells a story, you will see that he shares a lot of personal things. When you begin a story with I, you will talk about yourself. So if a story gets told to us through an I, you will see that the story tells a lot about the narrator himself. Right? His personal experience. Subjective narration. Another is sometimes there is we. In Lisa Davies' essay, in many places you saw the word pronoun we. This is first person plural. First person plural narration. We means plural. But this is rare. This is rare. It doesn't occur a lot. It occurs rarely. Third is, or second, let's say, second is you. This is very rare. You will rarely see a story which begins with you or that has you as second person narrator. We rarely have stories that have second person narrator. Then we have third person narrator, where you will see somebody using the word he. For example, here, the boys, you could write this as his name. You could say his name, right? Instead of the boys, you could say his name. So this is third person narrator. And third person narrators are unseen. They are unseen. You don't know where they are standing. This is called an omnipresent narrator. An omnipresent narrator. Such narrators are unseen. You don't know who is speaking, but you hear a voice. You don't see the speaker, you hear the voice. Someone is telling you the story, but you don't know exactly who that guy is or girl is. Such narrators are very powerful. They are very powerful. What do I mean when I say they are powerful? They can enter any character's mind and see what is happening there. They are godlike people because they can enter any narrator's mind. Look right now, this narrator, you see, this narrator, third person, he is making a comment about Keshav. This narrator says Keshav believed in new ways. Look, so this narrator has very good knowledge about what a character believes or doesn't believe. I told you, such narrators are like God. Don't yawn. What's your name?
Nishchay.
Why did you yawn? Share with me.
I woke up very early, and I went to bed last night very late, so
At what time did you go to bed?
around 2 o'clock,
Around 2. Woke up around, at what time?
4 something.
Okay, that's a very dangerous habit. If you do not sleep between 11 and 3, it destroys your liver very soon. Those of you who are not sleeping between 11 and 3, you are quickly damaging your liver. Please understand. I repeat, those of you who are not sleeping between 11 and 3, you are damaging your liver. And you will see the consequences, not right now, after 4 or 5 years. Please understand, maintaining good health is much more valuable than this BBA degree or MBA degree or any degree. You get a very wonderful degree, and when you get the degree, you become sick. What is the use of life? Put your health at priority, okay? And one condition for maintaining good health is having enough sound sleep. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate your honesty. But I'll advise you, please make sure you come to my class in a healthy condition. Physically, mentally, spiritually, socially. Okay? Have you ever seen me? I've taken 4 or 5 classes, this is 3rd class, 4th class. In these last 4 days, have you seen me lazy? Have you seen me yawning? Have you felt I was sick? I won't let you have this feeling throughout the semester. I promise. I promise, throughout the semester, in any class, I will never yawn. In any class, I'll never show laziness. In any class, I'll never let you feel I'm sick in class. I will never let you feel I've come unprepared for the class, okay? So, take it easy. Because when you yawn, I feel that one student is not okay in my class. And when a student is not okay in my class, I can't teach. I can't ignore. I can't. If you sleep over there, I'll come and call you. Why are you sleeping? Because if you sleep, I should care what's happening there, right? That's the job of a teacher. Okay, let's move on. Look what happened. You yawned and you took my 2-minute time. I got distracted from the lesson. Okay, I need utmost attention. In class 9, back wall in my college days, there was a quotation I carry in my life. The quotation was, concentration is the key to opening your heart. It was over there. It was in Hindi. It went like, Atma Sakshatkar Chitt Ekagrata ki kunji hai. If you can concentrate, your heart will open and you will understand things. This was a quotation in class 9. I still carry, I'm 56, and I practice it. So please concentrate as I explain, okay? I'm giving my 100% to you, you give 100% to me as student, and we'll learn together. Okay, come back. So I was saying, there is a third kind of narrator. He, third person. And I said, this narrator is so powerful, even he knows what Keshav believes. He knows what Prema believes. So wrap up. There are 3 types of narrators. First person, second person, third person. The first person narrator has 2 types. Singular I, plural we. And I said I is very common narration. I is subjective narration. When I comes to the story, he tells about himself a lot of things. And then I said, second person narration, you. And I said, this is very rare. This is a very special technique of narration. Third, I said, third person narrator, which is he, she, it, they. He, she, it, they. Or if you don't see an I in the story, you do not find a we in the story, you do not find a you in the story, then understand that there is a he in the story. And this he, many times, is not written directly. You won't see a he word, you won't see a she word, you won't see a it word, you won't see they word. But you will see somebody is speaking to you and telling the story. This is called unseen narrator. What do you call it? Unseen narrator. We call such narrator as unseen. You don't see. And unseen narrators are omnipresent. Omnipresent means their feature is they are everywhere in the world, so they can see everybody, they know everybody's mind. Even if these two girls are whispering, that unseen narrator will enter her mind and he will comment what she was thinking while talking to her. Even she does not know what she was thinking. The narrator knows what she was thinking. Why? Because the narrator is omnipresent. I said he's like a God. He's like God. He is everywhere. He can listen to everybody. He can see everybody. He knows everybody. A very, very powerful narrator. Now, let's move ahead. So yesterday we were reading this paragraph. Let me make it brief. Okay. So let's read and then comment. But all the same, there was a strong attachment between them, and the whole college was aware of it. Although he was a Brahmin, Keshav regarded marriage with this Bania girl as the culmination of his life. Mark and attend. See, right in the second paragraph, the writer introduces the tension, the caste. You read earlier that this story is about an intra-cultural variation, that is caste. We have the Brahmin boy and the Bania girl. We pronounce as Bania in Hindi. English people say Bania, but in Nepali you say Bania, right? I have heard Newari people have this Bania subtitle, surname, and they pronounce Bania. In India, they call it Bania. In Nepal, Bania is a caste. In India, Bania is not caste. Bania is a community. Okay. Bania girl as the culmination of his life. He didn't care a straw about his father and mother. Look here. Let me tell you something here. It's about Keshav, right? It's about Keshav. There is a word in English called hypocrite. Do you know the meaning? Do you know the meaning of hypocrite?
When someone says something but mean other thing.
Okay, good. Hypocrite is someone who preaches one thing and practices the opposite. I say you, don't use mobile. I lectured earlier. And I carry my mobile phone. I spend 3 hours watching shorts. I'm a hypocrite. Because I'm preaching. Don't use mobile, be good students. And I'm watching myself. I'm a hypocrite. Keshav is a hypocrite. Why? Because Keshav does not practice what he is preaching. Look here. He says he did not care a straw about his father and mother. This is what he says to Prema. He says, darling, I don't care about my father. I'll go against the world to marry you. He says, but when the point comes to revolt, he surrenders. He surrenders. So he can't practice his words. You may say, Divakar sir, don't blame Keshav because we understand his situation. I agree. Why Keshav can't practice? Because he is in a situation, right? Okay. Caste traditions he considered a fraud. If anything, look how I got disturbed. I'm letting you in only today.
he's in hospital, so I have to visit him to say hello. Don't mind, sir.
You want to come in or you want to go out?
I want to come in. Just I'm.
Okay, come in.
Thanks.
Come in. So I was saying, Kesab is a hypocrite. When I say Kesab is a hypocrite, last time if you remember I said when we did a story, anything we can summarize, we can interpret, we can use critical thinking, we can assimilate. I said 4 things last time. This is critical thinking because I'm passing my judgment about the character. You may disagree. And you can say, no Divakar sir, I feel pity on Kesab. He might say, no Divakar sir, I see myself as a Kesab. I had similar affair, Divakar sir. And I understand Kesab's situation because I have gone through the same situation. So I sympathize Kesab. I feel pity about Kesab. I am kind to him. I won't support your argument that he is hypocrite. You may disagree. When you talk like this, you are using critical thinking. You are using critical thinking. You are judging the characters. You are evaluating the characters. You are making opinion about the characters. But it's not enough to judge a character. You must bring evidence why you are saying like that. When I say Kesab is hypocrite, I am giving a reason. I said Kesab says that he does not care a straw about his father and mother. Look here. Caste traditions he considered a fraud. If anything embodied the truth for him, it was prema. But for prema, it was impossible to take one step in opposition to the dictates of caste and family. Here you see that, here you will feel that Kesab is progressive. In second paragraph, the impression you get is that Kesab is progressive, Kesab is materialist. You have this impression. And you have the impression that prema is conservative, prema is idealist. But by the time you finish reading the story, you find that it's opposite. Actually, Kesab succumbs to the traditions. Kesab succumbs to his father's rigid behavior. Kesab succumbs to the caste system. And prema revolts by committing suicide. Because at one point prema says to Kesab, darling, either I marry you and get you, else end of life. And she does it. She does it. At the end of the story, last scene, what do you see in last scene? The sun is rising. Prema doesn't get up. So the mother goes to inquire what's going on, why she is not getting up so late. The sun is just rising. And the sun's golden rays are falling on Prema's cheeks, the face. The face looks radiant, but she will never get up. She is dead. Although the story does not say she committed suicide, no. The story does not say she committed suicide. But we readers can easily understand that Prema has committed suicide. That's her revolt. And Prema sticks to her words. She said to Kesab, either you or no one. And when Kesab said, sorry darling, I can't marry you, she commits suicide. So Prema follows her words. Kesab does not follow his words. So I say Kesab is a hypocrite. Now you may disagree and say, no Divakar sir, for me Kesab is not a hypocrite because I understand his situation. But the question is, if you cannot fight with your situation, you are a coward. Who is a coward? How do you define coward? Coward is somebody who surrenders to his situation. How do you define coward? Coward is somebody who is scared of his situation. When Kesav's father calls him in, and Kesav is standing there, like me and my son there, So you see, I send you college for studies, and I see you run with that bunny girl. Then it's like 420 volt current for Keshav. All his power is gone. The moment his father calls, the father figure. You are lucky that maybe your parents are more progressive. They allow you such things. But decades ago, 20 years before, 30 years before, in my generation, let's say, in my generation, the figure of the father in the family was higher than Mount Everest. You look like this to your father. You always looked like this to your father. He was a good fellow, no doubt. He fed us. He clothed us. He paid for my school fee, everything. He raised me. He worked 10 hours a day to raise me. I'm a father. I have 2 children. I taught 14 classes in a day to keep my family alive. Why? Because I loved my children. As a result, my son is engineer, my daughter-in-law is engineer, my daughter is lawyer. I'm satisfied. All my hard work has paid. I agree. Fathers in our family not only control us, not only sometimes punish us, fathers also work very, very hard, right? They work for our livelihood. But sometimes we feel that they control us too much. They control us too much, right? So what did I keep my, yes. What was I saying? I said, Keshav is a hypocrite. And I said, you may disagree, you may have another opinion. Move ahead. One evening, the two of them met in secluded corner Victoria Park. See the word, in this story, most of the time, the verbs will be in past simple tense. In any narrative mode of writing, what is narrative? Narrative is a mode of writing that mostly uses action verbs. It uses what? Action verbs. And these action verbs are often in past tense because stories are histories. Stories are histories. And history is always about past. History is always about past. So narratives are written in past simple tense. The story, look here, Victoria Park, now look here, mark this thing. Whenever you see this place, write it on the setting. There are 3 things in setting. What is setting? When directors make movies, sometimes they go to natural places to shoot the movie. Sometimes they build setting in the city. They build artificial houses, artificial waterfalls, etc. Setting, background. Setting has 3 things. Understand and note down if necessary. One is time. This story was written in 1933. 91 years before. So as you read the story, keep in mind, this story is representing a society 91 years before. So do not judge the story from today's standard. Do not judge Keshav from today's standard. If Keshav was today, he would have a mobile. And he would plan, escape. चलो भाग चले पूरब की ओर, कहीं प्यार हमारा चोरी ना कर ले ये पश्चिम के चोर. This is a movie song from Bollywood movie. I don't know the movie. I forgot the movie. Sorry for this Hindi word. I know a lot of Hindi. Sorry. I won't repeat again. So if Keshav was today, he would run. So I said time, setting. Second, place. Every story happens at a time. Every story happens at a place. This story is taking place somewhere in India. We don't know exactly where, but we know there is a college. And we know this story, this scene, the one we are reading right now, this scene is taking place in a park, and sat down the grass facing one another. The strollers had gone off one by one, but these two lingered on. They had got into a discussion. It was impossible to end. See the discussion. This discussion is important. Do you hear? What is this discussion? Keshav said angrily. Now have you seen? In front of my house, there is a park in Balaju, opened by municipality. And they have iron benches in the park. And what do I see there? Most of the time on those benches, couples will come. They will come in college dress. They are mostly +2 bachelor students. They go to college, they bunk classes early morning, and they come in the park. I'm in my study. From my window I can see them. And sometimes I see the boy will say something to the girl. Probably the girl denied. Then the boy will be angry. He will pull her by the arm. Sometimes he will beat her. I've seen girls being beaten. He will push. He will throw. Midnight around 2, I wake up with a cry, shrill cry. I look from my veranda. I see there is a boy and girl. The girl is crying. This is today's generation. This is today's generation. Here you see what I'm pointing. Boys are violent. Boys are violent. Genetically, they are violent because they have a high level of testosterone. Violence is natural to boys. Look here, angrily. And what is it? All it means that you don't care about me. Prema tried to calm him. Look here, one is fire, the other is water. The girl is water, the boy is fire. See the opposite forces. See the tension, see the conflict. You are being unjust to me, Keshav. It's only that I don't know how I can bring it up home. How I can bring it up home without upsetting them. Them means parents. They are devoted to the old traditions. So this story has a conflict between old traditions versus new traditions. This story has a conflict between tradition versus modernity. Tradition versus modernity. This story has a conflict between tradition versus modernity. One conflict is tradition versus modernity. If they hear anything about a matter like this from me, like this means if they hear I'm in love with you, can't you imagine how distressed they will be? And aren't you a slave of those, now Keshav says, aren't you a slave of those old traditions too then? Every writer gives a message to the society through the writing. Prem Chand is known to be a very progressive Indian author. He has written dozens of novels in Hindi, very famous. Like read one, Gaban, about bribery. Read Godan. They are translated into English as well. But read Hindi if you like. They are wonderful writings. Yes, you want to say something?
May I wash my face and come now?
Okay, go. Mind the wire. So, I said there is conflict between old and new modernity. Keshav says he represents modernity and he accuses Prema to be traditional. But it is other way around. Prema is modern. Keshav at the end shows that he is traditional or he is a coward. Okay, sharply, no, I'm not. Look here, this is the first place. This is the first place in the story where dialogue starts. So note in your note copy, the elements of narrative, dialogue. You have characters and they speak, there is dialogue. Dialogue does two things. One, dialogue is always accompanied by some form of action, because we never speak like a statue. When we speak, we make gestures. Second, what does dialogue do? Dialogue reveals the thought processes of a character. When you hear the dialogue, you understand the character's mind. Because our mind is represented by our words. When you listen to someone, you know what's going on in their mind. So read here. No, I am not. Case of accuses Prema that you are slave of the tradition. And Prema instantly denies this charge, false charge. No, I am not. But what my mother and father want is more important to me than anything. I am a father. I raised my daughter. I raised my son. Right? Many times, when my children, they were in college, I will sense that they are in love affair. I'll find out. I'll know somehow. Somebody comes up to me and says, Divakar sir, your daughter I saw at Tunic Hill. When there was a football game, she had gone there. I said, so what? Then he will say, she was sitting with that boy. I said, what is he doing? They're eating peanuts. My friend thought that my daughter has a boyfriend. And my friend thought that it's not a good thing. So he came to me and informed me, right? Now you can imagine what would happen to me as a father. Imagine as a father, not as a daughter, as a father, right? Now, the same line verse he says, my father and mother want more important to me than anything. We parents, sometimes when I debated with my daughter, I would make a sentence often, and she felt hurt. I said, look, we conceived you, I'll say. Your mom carried you 9 months in her stomach, in a womb. She delivered. I'm raising you. I'm doing my blood and toil to raise you. And we have a dream about you. We care about you. So if you take any decision,